I am going 6-0 in the division because the rest of the division sucks.
This is the best division in football, Tori. Take that step back. We are seeing the true quarterback that he really is, which he is not a very good quarterback.
Welcome to the Man Now, where we taking over. It's time to give you them facts. Won't miss a game or two, cause we here for you and we reporting all of them stats. We coming to you live to keep you updated. Broadcast across the country, we the fan favorites. Break the volume to the max and don't nobody touch it. We cross the topics off the list, addressing every subject. So if you ain't got a clue, then you can tune in and give it 24 hours and we back again. Breaking news, new scoops, we the top dogs. From the fields to the courts, we report it all. Buzzer beaters through your speakers, we the ones to call. Trust us for the news if it's got a ball. Giving you the top stories cause we love the turf. Tell a friend to tune in and where you heard it first. Yeah, you're listening to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them stats. Yeah, you listen to the Man Now. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them facts. Yeah, you listen to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them facts. Turn the speakers up a little loud. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them stats. Cause you listen to the Man Hour.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckheischer here with the Man Hour. Head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page. Beastie merch is now live, so be sure to check that out. And also, guys, we are giving away a tumbler tomorrow here on Man Hour, but you can get registered to win that tumbler right now by simply head over to youtube.com/Man Hour and giving me a hashtag Beastie space and the number of raffle tickets that you want to enter in. Minimum of 2, maximum of 10,000. But you do have to obviously earn those loyalty points and earn those raffle points by being active in the chat, sharing this and liking this as well, and just overall being a good person over here at youtube.com. Also, guys, you can become a member here at youtube.com and simply hitting the join button. For as little as 99 cents a month, guys, you can become a part of Man Hour Nation. You get the behind-the-scenes footage, after-hours footage, merchandise discounts, and you get a lot more perks, all the way from 99 cents to $9.99. If you become a $9.99 member, you get a hoodie every year you are part of Man Hour Nation. So, guys, the hoodies are nice, thick quality, and we're actually getting ready to send out our first bunch of Man Hour Nation hoodies to those 99 subscribers, and the 599 subscribers as well are getting some t-shirts as well. So, guys, if you become a 599 member, you get a t-shirt after 6 months. You are a part of Man Hour Nation. So we officially been here for 6 months, and there are people a part of Man Hour Nation for 6 months. So bada bing, bada boom, guys, we'll get that sent out as soon as we can. We will get you guys a shipping address and we'll order it and get it shipped out to you ASAP. But guys, we do have a pretty good show for you to line up tonight. We have Graham Wallace join us here in about a half hour to 20 minutes with his NFL Power Rankings. So really excited about having him on for our weekly Wednesday Power Rankings show. There has been some shakeups up at the top, so guys, be prepared for that. So just hang on tight, because if you guys are following us on Twitter, we have given you the top all the way up to the top 11. So we have 11 through 1 to go still here moving forward. So we'll definitely be on with Graham here in just a little bit at Bus Wallace on the Twitter machine. So be sure to give him a follow, a like, and retweet his stuff. It'd be much appreciated. Also here Wednesdays now, guys, we got Spilled Soup coming up at hour number 2 with Mr. Soup Boss himself. So Soup Boss will be joining us here at hour number 2 on the Man Hour. So we do got some action-packed show for you guys, because Soup Boss always brings that heat every time he is on. So big shout out to Soup Boss for joining us tonight on his new Wednesday weekly segment with us. So if you guys are here in the chat, be sure to give us a hashtag Beastie so you get registered to win that tumbler we're giving away Thursday, hour number 2 here on the Man Hour. So guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy, because it is time to get into some all-important sports talk. So obviously, guys, Thursday night football is just around the corner. We're about 24 hours away from kickoff, and Baker Mayfield has officially been ruled out for Thursday's game. So if you guys were listening to the show last night, you know that we said that, or I said that the Cleveland Browns are not very good without Baker Mayfield. Actually, I believe that Chatter said that, and I kind of concurred with them a little bit. So we are going to see exactly how good or how bad the Cleveland Browns are going to be without Baker Mayfield on Thursday night football, as they are at home taking on the Denver Broncos, a very lackadaisical Denver Broncos team right now. So I think there is some gameplay, a little bit of chess match happening with sitting Baker Mayfield on this Thursday night game. For one, guys, it is a short week. Obviously, they don't get that extra 3 or 4 days to heal a body after a Sunday night or a Sunday game, and then come in Thursday night, short work week. So sitting him this game versus a struggling Broncos team to save himself for a division rival next week, get 10 days off, 11 days off. Bada bing, bada boom. You have a well-rested Baker Mayfield going into a very, very big divisional game. Let's just be flat out honest. This Thursday night game versus the Denver Broncos is not very important because, the Cleveland Browns are 3-3 right now. Obviously, they have lost 2 games in a row, losing to some very, very good teams in Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Cardinals. But when you look at the Denver Broncos schedule, they are also 3-3. They started out hot, right? 3-0, very, very top team, and they've dropped 3 games in in a row. So they are struggling to find their footing per se. So perfect time to sit them, and 70% of the time, the road team on Thursday night games loses games. So everything is pointing in the favor for the Cleveland Browns, and it's going to be positive for them for sitting Baker Mayfield. Let's just be flat out honest about that. Sitting Baker Mayfield, this game is not going to hurt the Cleveland Browns whatsoever. They'll be perfectly fine. So I guess in a roundabout way, you guys can say that I'm going to pick the Cleveland Browns to win this game because of everything that is pointing towards them. Like everything's pointing in their favor. Everything seems to be going smooth, right? But you don't know what you're going to get with the Denver Broncos. Are they going to be the first 3 weeks? I mean, granted, they played like the Jets and the Jaguars and the Giants, right? I mean, 3 very, very, very weak teams. But then you guys got to realize they played the Ravens, Steelers, and Raiders the last 3 weeks as well. So they had an easy schedule and then a not so easy schedule. So what Denver Broncos' team is going to show up, I think this Denver Broncos team is going to hit its stride again this Thursday. Now, are they going to win this game? I'm not saying that. I will break that in hour number 2 with Suit Boss coming up here on hour number 2 with the Man Hour. But do not surprise me if Teddy Bridgewater goes into Cleveland, Ohio, and flexes on him. Teddy Bridgewater, we've been hearing it all week, all year long. Is Teddy Bridgewater really the guy? Is Teddy Bridgewater really this, really that, etc.? And truth be told, right now, he is not that guy. He is coming off a concussion, right? So, and we've heard it, right? Many people are proud to be on Teddy Bridgewater's team, but they're also not fighting to play for him either. When he gets traded, you don't see players up in arms saying, "Oh, where's Teddy? Where's Teddy? Where's Teddy?" There's a reason for that. He comes in, he does his job, he doesn't wow you, he does what he's got to do, and he goes home. He doesn't stay extra, doesn't come in early. He comes in, does his job, does it effectively, and then goes home. That's kind of what it comes down to, unfortunately. But obviously, guys, the breaking news is Baker Mayfield is out for Thursday night game versus the Broncos. Kind of called it. Basically, when Baker Mayfield said that he will make the decision on his own, whether he will play or not, and he had a second MRI, that basically tells you that, you know what, he is not able to play. He was hoping basically that like that second MRI would tell him something that, it wasn't torn or he didn't need to have surgery or this, and this. That's when you get a second MRI, that's kind of what it comes down to. Sorry to say, guys, but Baker Mayfield, this is for his own good. Just be flat out honest. Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns are making the right choice of starting Case Keenum on Thursday because right now the Browns are a sinking ship. Kareem Hunt hurt, Nick Chubb's hurt, Jarvis Landry's hurt, Baker Mayfield's hurt. Hell, who isn't hurt right now for the old Cleveland Browns? That's kind of what it comes down to. Who isn't hurt? I mean, the Browns need a bye week in the worst way, and they're kind of getting a bye week before the bye week by playing this Thursday night game by getting the 10, 11 days off. So complete full circle here. Baker Mayfield will miss Thursday night game here. So let's go ahead and transition to the rest of the NFL. So obviously, guys, we are starting week 7 here in 24 hours exactly here, 8:20 p.m. East Coast time tomorrow. On Thursday is when the kickoff will happen. Broncos versus the versus the Browns. So I want to talk about 500 teams right now. Those teams that are 3-3, right? So when you look at those 3-3 teams, there are several of them. Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, and then you had the Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs, and you had the Minnesota Vikings, the Carolina Panthers, and the Carolina Panthers, all respectively 3-3 teams. Now, several of those teams started out really hot. Carolina Panthers were 3-0, Denver Broncos were 3-0, and then there are other teams that weren't hot. Minnesota Vikings, Kansas City Chiefs. So I want to go through each of these teams and basically say if they have a shot of making the playoffs or not. But just because like we're kind of in that point of the season, whether it's make or break. And quite frankly, it's going to be break for a lot of these teams. Pittsburgh Steelers 3-3 right now. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-3. They had the opening week win over the Buffalo Bills, and then Ben Roethlisberger did not look like Big Ben himself. He kind of looked like Baby Ben, right? He was not doing very, very well. The offense was very one-dimensional. What Big Ben was throwing like the ball 60-plus times in a game, and they weren't running Najee Harris like at all. They lost three straight games to the Raiders, Bengals, and Packers, but now they're kind of back on track, right? They beat a struggling Broncos team. They beat a backup quarterback in Geno Smith and the Seahawks, but now they're on a bye week. This week they have the Browns, Bears, Lions, Chargers all coming up here in the next 4 games, sitting at 3-3. So looking at their schedule moving forward, do the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs? Absolutely not. They will not beat Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. They will not beat the Bears. They will beat the Lions. So there's one win. They won't beat the Chargers. They won't beat the Bengals. They won't beat the Ravens. They might beat the Vikings because it is a December game at Minnesota. That's kind of an iffy game. But then Titans, Chiefs, Browns, Ravens to round out the season. Guys, I can see the Pittsburgh Steelers only getting 3 wins for the rest of the season. That puts them at what is that? So that puts them at 6-11 for the rest of the season. So they're definitely out of the playoffs. I mean, I would go as far as say as that is last in the AFC North. Let's just be flat honest. They're not a very good team, and the rest of the record, the rest of the way, is going to show it. And sorry, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, this is the first time you guys are going to be below 500 in Mike Tomlin's era. I think Mike Tomlin's going to be out after the end of this season. He will be fired just because he's a player's coach, and right now the players are walking all over him. That's what it comes down to. The players are walking all over him right now, and it's just not looking good for them whatsoever. The next team up that is 3-3 is the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they play here in 24 hours, like we've been harping on. They had a 3-game winning streak, but then they lost two games in a row to the Chargers and Cardinals. So looking at their schedule moving forward, they do play the Broncos. I think they're going to win that game. Spoiler alert. I think they're going to beat the Broncos here on Thursday. They're going to beat the Steelers. I think they're going to beat the Bengals. They'll lose to the Patriots. They'll beat the Lions. So there's 4. And then they play Ravens back-to-back weeks with the bye worked in there. So I think they win one of those games. That's 5. They beat the Raiders because the Raiders always fall apart in the second half of the season. There's 6 wins for them right now, 6 more wins. And then they finish out the season with at Green Bay, at Pittsburgh, and with Cincinnati. So I think they'll finish the season with 7 wins, and that will put them at 10-7 on the season. So I think that is just good enough for them to get into the playoffs, and it's probably going to put them second place in the AFC North, depending on what the Cincinnati Bengals do moving forward. Because right now, Cincinnati Bengals is 4-4-2, looking hot. I believe Graham Wallace has them possibly in the top 10. I mean, he could be at 11, it could be 10, it could be 9, but 5. But find out here moving forward. But I do think the Cleveland Browns at a 3-3 will finish the record at 10-7, and they will find themselves into the playoffs. It's going to be positive for them moving forward. the next 3-3 team that we are going to talk about is the Denver Broncos. This is another Thursday night game of it. Like obviously they play the Cleveland Browns. I had them losing to the Browns, but this is a Denver Broncos team that started off hot. They were 3-0 to start the season. Obviously, they're Jaguars, Dolphins, Giants, right? And then they dropped 3 games in a row. And I think we saw the real Denver Broncos the last 3 weeks. They are good enough to hang in there, but they're not good enough to win very many games. We're going to lose to the Browns. We're going to lose to the Washington. We're going to lose to the Cowboys. Hell, I'll even say they'll lose to the Eagles. So they have maybe 1 to 2 more wins the rest of the season versus the Lions, versus the Bengals, and I'll throw the Chargers in there like as well. So the Denver Broncos, I feel, are going to finish 6-11 to end the season with the 17-game season. Denver Broncos will miss the playoffs, 6-11. So there's 2 teams so far that are 3-3 that are going to find themselves out of the playoffs moving forward. So we have 2 teams that are out, and then we have a team that is in the Cleveland Browns. And then the next team that I think is going to find themselves in the playoffs is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, obviously, guys, the Kansas City Chiefs started off the season with the win over the Cleveland Browns, and then lost to the Ravens, lost to the Chargers. Hindsight, now the Chargers is a very good loss. Ravens is a very good loss, even though the Chiefs play like crap both of those games. They beat the Eagles, lost to the Bills, a very, very good team, the best AFC team, best team in the AFC team, and then they beat the Washington team. Look at their schedule moving forward. They have the Titans, Giants, Packers, and Raiders. If they go 2-4 in that stretch, I think they will finish the season 11-6. Their only losses are going to come to 2 of those teams in there, but between the Titans, Giants, Packers, and Raiders, they're going to drop 2 of those teams, and then I think they're going to finish it out. Win versus the Cowboys, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos. So that's 9 more wins on the season. So that actually puts them at 12-5. So I'm going to stick to my guns there. Actually, that's my preseason ranking for the Kansas City Chiefs is 12-5, and I think they're going to find themselves in first place in the AFC West, which that will probably put them probably should be first place in the playoffs as well, possibly second, depending on what the Ravens do throughout the season. But Kansas City Chiefs 12-5. So right now, guys, we are 3-3 teams. We have 2 in, 2 that are out. So this 3-3 week 7 is very, very critical for a lot of teams moving forward here. So guys, we are up against the first break here. I actually skipped over here a little bit. So we will break down the final 2 teams that are 3-3 right now, right after this break. Guys, we'll be shortly lived. We'll be back.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckeye tonight. Head over to, if you would be most inclined tonight, head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page. You have Beastie merch that is live over there. Use hashtag Beastie space with the number of raffles that you would like to give away. We're giving away a tumbler tomorrow, hour number 2, Thursday, here at Man Hour Live. So we do have Graham Wallace coming up here in about 10 minutes with his NFL power rankings. And of course, we got Soup Boss with Spilled Soup coming up at 9 o'clock, hour number 2 on the Man Hour. So right before break, guys, we were breaking down some 3-3 teams, and I got caught up and went up to the break here. So we actually have 4 teams left that are potentially going to make the playoffs, and I can tell you right now that none of them are going to make the playoffs. That's just the way, just to flat out what it is. So we have 3-3 Minnesota Vikings, 3-3 Chicago Bears, and 3-3 Carolina Panthers. The only team that could possibly make the playoffs out of these 3 is the Carolina Panthers, and that is if CMC comes back this week. And guess what, guys? He's not. He is on IR, and so he can't even return till week 9 with that hamstring injury. So the Carolina Panthers were a team that started off hot, guys. They were 3-0, right? People were having, they're making the Super Bowl, yada yada. The last time they went 3-0, they were winning the Super Bowl with Cam Newton's MVP year. I believe they went 15-1 that particular season, and they got thumped in the Super Bowl. So right now they got thumped by the Cowboys, they got thumped by the Eagles, and thumped by the Vikings back-to-back weeks. Now they're on the road again versus the Giants, Falcons, and Patriots. There's another 3 losses in a row, and I don't see another win coming from the Carolina Panthers until they travel to Miami last week of November. So they're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses in a row, putting them at 3-8 going into that, what is that, week 11 matchup or week 12 matchup. And then they could rattle off a couple wins in a row just because of the teams that they play are going to have the division locked up, because they play the Bucks, Saints, the last 4 weeks, they play the Bucks, Saints, and Bucks again the last 3 weeks of the season. Could possibly pull out one of those wins. But guys, the Carolina Panthers are another 5-win team this season. Wins only coming against the Miami Dolphins and Falcons last week of November and first week of December. So they have a first week bye in December, and then they play again week 2 of December. So unfortunately, guys, the Carolina Panthers are just not very good without Christian McCaffrey. Because it puts too much burden on Sam Darnold, unfortunately. And Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. I mean, we saw he's probably a top 15 quarterback with CMC in the roster, but when he's not there, he's not very good. So the next team that I wanted to talk about are the Chicago Bears. Brandon Combs' Chicago Bears, they are 3-3. Justin Fields is at the helm now, which is a mistake, but we'll digress on that a little bit. The Chicago Bears are 3-3, obviously, and they're not going to win many more games than that. I see 7 wins this year for them, and it's probably going to be all divisional games. So they might sneak one past the Packers. They're probably going to beat the Lions, because the Lions are complete dog shit right now. They are the worst team in the NFL, hands down. I don't know what is wrong with them, but they are horrible. So they'll probably sneak one out of them, and they'll beat the Vikings as well. Just because for some reason the Bears always go 500 in the division. They never seem to sweep anybody, and they never seem to get swept. So that's at least 6 wins for them. And looking at their 7th win as soon as their schedule pulls up, I don't know the schedule off the top of my hand, but Spectrum Internet is awesomely slow tonight, as always. Shout out to Spectrum for having the most expensive and the worst internet in all of America. But yeah, so they do play the Giants the second last week of the year. So possibly you might get 7 wins out of Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. But guess what, guys? That's not good enough to make the playoffs in a 17-game season, unfortunately. And then if you want to talk about the Minnesota Vikings, we can. But primetime Kirk Cousins himself is still winless in primetime games. I'm totally kidding on that. He has like 5 primetime wins. But the Vikings are a horribly bad good team. They are like the best of the worst teams, and they're like the Cleveland Browns a couple years ago when they just couldn't find the right end of the stick. Now, yes, I know you guys are going to say it. They're 3-3 right now. They beat the Seahawks, they beat the Lions, and they beat the Panthers. congratulations. Now the Seahawks is a very, very good win. Yes, you guys beat the Seahawks at home. I'll give you that one. You went toe to toe with the Arizona Cardinals, but then you lost to the Browns. Then you beat the Lions, which you shouldn't have won that game. You beat the Panthers in overtime, a bad Panthers team without Christian McCaffrey. And then you guys had the Cowboys, Ravens, Chargers, Packers, 49ers up next. Doesn't get very easy. Lions at Ford Field, always tough to play. That's a loss. Steelers is a loss. At the Bears, you might pull that out. Probably not. That's a loss. Lose to the Rams, lose to the Packers, and you beat the Bears last week of the season. 4-13 for the Minnesota Vikings. Not very good. Sorry, guys. Just you guys are not very good. Going to miss the playoffs, unfortunately. And truth be told, if it wasn't for the Lions, you guys would be dead to me too. Because every time I buy stock into the Vikings, they shit the bed as well. So, nonetheless, guys, it is time to bring on one of the best men I've had privilege to talk to, the best Canadian, the guy that does his homework without doing homework, without being said to do it. Mr. Graham Wallace at Bus Wallace on the old Twitter machine. What's going on tonight, man?
Oh, you're too kind, Buck. Thank you for the nice words. Always great to be here with you on a Wednesday night. Getting ready for week 7, another great week, exciting week of NFL football. So let's get it.
Yeah. So speaking of football, I mean, we don't glaze over the fact that the Major League Baseball playoffs is happening right now, and the Boston Red Sox have the most grand slams in a series history, right? Right now, sitting at 3 or 4. Like, how exciting is that to see?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I haven't watched a single second of that series.
Oh, that's not. Why not? Baseball.
Those
baseball,
are two
right?
teams. I love baseball, and that's a big reason why I didn't want to see those two teams playing in that series. I'll check back into the World Series, and I'll watch the NLDS.
Are you saying that you hate those two teams?
I'll watch the NLCS, that is.
Are you saying that you hate those two teams?
Didn't quite get that. Sorry.
Are you saying that you hate those two teams?
I'll just take from what I heard there. I hate what they did. I hate the lack of punishment. I hate that they've continued to have success throughout. Boston had a lousy season last year, but it was only a 60-gamer. Houston's been in 5 straight championship series. That's outstanding. They've got great players. I don't think they needed to do what they did. And I prefer to watch other things. Right now we got football going on, hockey just started, basketball's kicking off tonight. We got my Raptors going.
Yeah.
They're stuck 12 right now, but there's enough other things going on right now. If there's a series that I don't really agree with the politics behind it, I'm not going to watch it. And I already kind of got into a battle about this online, so I don't really necessarily want to go back into that. But yeah, I'm going to check back in for the World Series, and I'm watching the series with the Dodgers and the Braves, which has been pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah, that's a very, very exciting game, as a series as well, I should say. But speaking of exciting, I mean, obviously every Wednesday you join us here at 8:30 East Coast time with your NFL power rankings, and we have released the bottom 2/3 of the rankings on our Twitter at man_hour_radio, and we have tagged you in it. And so a couple things that kind of jump off to the screen at me really, really quick here is that you have the very, very bad Miami Dolphins still in the 28 range. Are the Giants not better than them? Are the Jets not better than? Or are the Texans not better than them right now?
Geez, I don't know. I think the Texans probably have the worst roster in the NFL. They're playing hard, but even when they play hard, they still seem to lose every game by 4 or 5 touchdowns. So that's really tough to not have them at or near the bottom. Zach Wilson, I think, is a surefire bust. He's gunning for Peyton Manning's rookie record for interceptions, which is 28. Keep throwing them, Zach, because you'll get there. Dreams do come true. And then Giants have been god awful. They were able to beat the Saints somehow. Daniel Jones was a guy I liked coming out of college. He started good, Danny Dimes, but it's been really hard to support him. He got hurt. Barkley got hurt again, of course. The defense is not really showing much teeth at all. So I kind of had those teams in a bit of a cluster. I think Miami should be a lot better than what they've shown.
Oh yeah.
But the results haven't been there, so I couldn't really have them any higher than 28. But I wanted to have them ahead of those other kind of sad sack franchises. They're all 1-5, so they're all doing really poorly.
Yeah, so I think Miami is the biggest bust of an NFL team that you could possibly have because what they were on track to the playoffs last year, and then they put Tua in, and they found this sinking
Yeah,
ship,
you could.
and then they found some momentum again, and this year, oh,
Mhm.
Tua, and they had a great roster. Many people had them going 11 wins, and now they got beat by the Jaguars. Like, what is wrong
Yeah.
with Miami? That's terrible.
I don't know. I mean, they just about won 11 games last year, Buck. They won 10, and they obviously self-destructed in that
Yeah.
season finale against Buffalo, and that's really the game that started the wheels rolling with this whole Tua could be a massive bust thing. He showed a lot of indecision, and then when he did pull the trigger, it was often him throwing to the wrong team. Uh, there were some other games when he got pulled in favor of Fitzmagic, which is never a good sign for your QB of the future.
Right.
There's a lot of whispers of them trading for Deshaun Watson. I'm hearing that it's really close, actually. Um, I don't know if that's going to save them. I'm also really surprised that the NFL is just, sitting idly by and letting this happen. I thought they would put him on the exempt list, similar to what they did with Adrian Peterson several years ago with the child abuse scandal. I think this thing with the masseuse, I don't know if he did it or not, but over 40 women coming forward really doesn't look good. And the fact that they're just doing nothing is just classic NFL.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic that we don't want our star to get kind of brought down a little bit per se. So like I know this has nothing to do with the power rankings, but let's say Watson does go to Miami for example. I believe it has to be by week 9 because that's when the trade deadline is. Does he, for one, does he start in Miami? 2, does he even make them a respectable team? And 3, can he even learn the playbook enough to put him up there?
I'm going to try to answer that question the best I can based on the words that I heard, which weren't a ton. Uh, I don't necessarily think he could save this team. Remember, Watson had a really good statistical season last year, and I believe Houston only won 4 games. He could probably get some good chemistry going with some of their receivers. Um, just I feel like this could be a team that is losing. Maybe Brian Flores could be losing this locker room. They don't seem to be playing with that fight, that passion that made them such a good team for much of last season, forcing turnovers, getting blocked punts, things like that. So I don't really think it'd be a great move for them necessarily, especially when you think that Watson might not be out of hot water legally. It might not be a long term kind of fix.
Yeah. So actually, guys, Brian Flores probably lost the locker room last year when he called the relief pitcher in with Ryan Fitzpatrick in 3 of those 4 games that they were losing in the fourth quarter, and he come back and like won those games. But let's get into the top 10 NFL power rankings here. We have obviously released up until number 12. I wanted to leave number 11 kind of at a surprise, but who do you have coming in at number 11?
I have the Las Vegas Raiders. Really nice comeback performance for them. We saw the debut of their new interim head coach for now, Rich Bisaccia. I'm trying to get used to saying that. Pretty nice comeback performance for them against the Raiders. We saw Ruggs going deep, Carr with the nice completion there, and then a kind of two-headed monster at running back with Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. This is kind of the formula for success. We've seen the Raiders for the first 3 games of the season. They kind of went away from that over the last couple. Good to see them get kind of back off the schneid. And I kind of called this, not to toot my own horn, but I think this is a squad that's re-energized by a subtraction, actually. It's addition by subtraction. I think Gruden was a fine coach. I'm not going to say he was a terrible coach or anything, but I think when the players heard about some of the things he said, he couldn't walk back into that locker room, especially with the openly gay player that came out, Carl Nassib. How could you look him in the eye and say that you've got his back with some of those things that he said in those emails? Now, I'm not going to get into the privacy thing and whether they should have been leaked or not, but I think it's a good thing for this team, and they might actually be able to have a complete season and not collapse when it gets to November or December, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I didn't have to because that is historical Raiders fashion. Is they collapse, after week 8, usually in the NFL season. So now let's bust into the top 10 here, and busting into the top 10 at 4-2 as you do have the Cincinnati Bengals. That's a huge surprise for me. Tell me why you put them up there.
Well, part of me, I know they beat the Detroit Lions. It really wasn't a very competitive game, but that's really the thing that impressed me about this game. It looked like a classic kind of trap game. It was in Detroit. Cincinnati was coming off a tough loss against the Packers, which no one seemed to be able to kick a field goal until Crosby finally nailed one. I honestly looked at this game and thought, well, I think Lions might have a chance to win this game. And it wasn't even close. Now, I'm not going to say, Cincinnati are world beaters for hammering the Lions, but let's not forget Detroit's been in some pretty tight ball games, actually. The Vikings game and the Ravens games come to mind. And I think it showed a lot of maturity that they were able to face an inferior foe and just show no mercy and just blow their doors off. So 4-2, I had them at 12 a couple weeks ago, so I thought they deserved to move up a couple spots. 4-2, they look pretty good. I don't know if they're a real contender or not, but I like what I've seen out of Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase is looking like the rookie of the year. Just give the kid the award now. And I think it's really funny. A lot of scouts and different people in the media kind of hammered this team for not taking Penei Sewell, the offensive lineman out of Oregon. Lions ended up grabbing him. They said, oh, well, you need to take an offensive lineman to protect Joe Burrow. Why not get him his buddy from LSU? And they've been a can't-miss combination. So I think a lot of people missed the mark on criticizing that draft pick.
Oh, yeah, and many people said Sewell was the best pick in the draft, and hindsight now, he could be one of the first offensive line biggest busts that I've seen ever. Man, he is not doing well in Detroit right now whatsoever. I don't even think he's in the starting lineup anymore. That shows you how bad he is doing up there in Detroit. But coming in at number 9, you do have the LA Chargers. The Chargers are a team that I'm kind of scared of as a Chiefs fan, but tell me why you have them up so high.
Well, I mean, I did have them significantly higher last week. I believe they were in the top 5. I believe they came in at number 4. I had them knock them down quite a few pegs. That was just a listless performance against the Baltimore Ravens. It seems like they didn't even show up. They ended up losing, I believe it was 34-6. There was a lot of blowouts, Buck, on Sunday. I don't know if you noticed that trend. It wasn't a great week of football. The New England Cowboys game was really good, and there was a few other decent games. The Sunday nighter turned into an okay game, even though those are two not great teams right now. But kind of losing my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so that was a listless performance, but I'm going to kind of give them a break just because of how impressive they were over the first 5 weeks of the season. They played the Cowboys tough in week 2. They definitely could have won that game. Had a lot of penalties, some controversial penalties in that game. I really like Justin Herbert. I like Bosa on defense. They also have Derwin James, who hasn't played a lot in the last couple of years. So I definitely think this is a playoff caliber team. They just kind of didn't show up on Sunday, which is disappointing, but I didn't want to drop them too far down.
Yeah, and especially when you're playing a team like the Ravens that they I believe you had them in the top 5 last week at as well. So when you have 2 top 5 teams battling, it just sometimes there's always that one game every NFL season where you just don't show up. And hopefully that was hopefully the Chargers game. So coming in at number 8, you have the Buffalo Bills. Many people are really, really high on the Buffalo Bills. What are your thoughts on the Buffalo Bills?
I'm really high on the Bills too, and I've made no secret about it. They are the team that I root for on Sundays and Monday night whenever they play. It was Monday this week, but just a really disappointing performance on Monday. I mean, they had good moments. The Cole Beasley touchdown pass when Josh Allen was rolling out comes to mind. But just too many mistakes were made in this game. I saw the clip earlier when you were talking about that 4th down gamble. I think I'm okay with going for it on 4th down, but it was so obvious that they were going to do a sneak there, and
Oh, yeah.
Allen slipped, and Simmons just dominated. I think it was Dion or Daryl Dawkins, and there was just no chance for a successful conversion on that play. Obviously, hindsight 2020, you think about kicking the field goal and living another day, but the reason I'm okay with the call is they were not stopping the Titans offense at all. Derrick Henry ran all over them at 140 some odd yards, 3 touchdowns. So I really like the Bills, but I think they kind of took this one on the chin. Um, they have their bye week next week, so they'll have some time to think about this, think about how bad they felt after this game. I still think this is a Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah, and I'm right there on the boat with you 100%. And then coming in at number 7, you do have the Tennessee Titans. We actually had a poll going last night here on the Man Hour asking if the Tennessee Titans were the best team in the AFC. Overwhelming 97% of the people said no. You have them at number 7. So, what are your thoughts? Are the Tennessee Titans the best team in the AFC?
Absolutely not. I really had a tough time with this. I didn't even really want to put them ahead of Buffalo, but they did just beat them. I had them, I believe, at 10 last week. I still think Baltimore is a better team. I know the Chargers are ranked a little bit lower than them, but I think the Chargers are probably capable of beating them as well. Chiefs haven't really gotten it together yet, but I think they're another team that could be capable of beating them, and maybe even the Raiders as well. The Titans are very inconsistent. When the run game gets shut down, then you're kind of depending on Ryan Tannehill. He's probably an average quarterback, probably somewhere in the middle of the starting quarterbacks. I like him more than most. AJ Brown's a pretty good receiver, but they seem to still be developing a lot of their offensive identity with offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. So I'd say they're probably somewhere 4th or 5th best team in the AFC, but they're on a roll right now. Did I put them too high? Possible. If someone said that to me, I wouldn't give them a huge argument, but that's how I have it this week. What could I say?
Yeah, well, I mean, and then we'll find out next Sunday how good the Tennessee Titans really are, because they do play the Kansas City Chiefs. At least it's at home for them. But looking at your 10, 9, 8, 7 teams here, I kind of feel like you could probably put them in a hat and pull them out, and you would have been perfectly fine. As my camera freezes again, and I'm sorry about that. But for some reason,
kind of lost you a bit there.
This you can still hear my voice, right? No, you cannot hear it. Give me 1 second. But just to recap here, guys, we do have them. Can you hear me now, Graham?
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, so my camera's been freezing. My camera is getting ready to hit the hay. But like I was saying, like I feel like those bottom 4 teams you could have probably just put like in a hat and pulled them out, and the order wouldn't have mattered that much, unfortunately.
Right.
So just to recap here, you had the Bengals at 10, Chargers at 9, Bills at 8, 7 coming in is the Titans, and then number 6 you do have the Dallas Cowboys. A little low,
Yeah,
but.
Yep. No, I hear that. I definitely considered putting them in the top as high as 4. But I think we this has kind of been a theme. I think I trust the Packers and the Rams a little bit more. I think their defenses are maybe a little bit better, but I love what I've seen out of Trayvon Diggs. Hey, you said he wasn't going to get another interception.
Oh, yeah.
That lasted less than a week because he got another one. He got Mac Jones. He returned it for a touchdown, pick 6. So he looks like a tremendous player. Hey, he's got as many touchdowns as Stephon Diggs, who I believe is his brother. There's some kind of a relationship there.
Yeah, I think they are brothers. Yeah.
Yeah,
The younger
so they
one.
both have
Yeah.
two touchdowns. I'm looking for Stephon to kind of pile a few more touchdowns on there. I'm really interested to see if he could get to 10. But Dak Prescott looked really good. But this was a bit of a shaky game in some respects against Patriots. They definitely could have lost it. Patriots are a weird team. I know we're not talking about them right now, but 2-4, you think about some of their losses. They lost the last second game against the Buccaneers. They lost by 1 point to the Dolphins the first game of the season. That's the only game the Dolphins have won. And then they lost this game to the Cowboys, a really tough game in overtime. So they're 2-4, but 3 really close losses, and they've been pretty competitive throughout. So.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about the Patriots, if the ball bounces one way or the other for them, we could be talking about them as a 4-2 team and possibly
Sure.
a top team, a top 10 team in the NFL. But you do have the Patriots right now at number 21. Cowboys coming in at number 6. And Soup Boss himself, which is coming up here in about 15 minutes, says Diggs did not pick off Mac Jones. Aguilar decided to hand it to him. So
Okay, well.
that is very, very true. But coming in
the
at
credit
number,
still.
yeah, and coming in at number 5, you do have the LA Rams. Started off super hot, kind of come back down to reality, like a tad bit, but obviously still a top 5 team in the NFL. Tell me why.
Well, I mean, really good teams take care of business against the not so good teams. Obviously, I've already talked about the Giants. They're not a good team at all, and they didn't waste any time in kind of laying them to waste. I'm not going to give them a bunch of credit for handling the Giants, but I just think this defense with Donald and Ramsey in the back end there. Stafford looks comfortable. Sure, it's not as explosive maybe as the first couple of weeks, but I think he seems comfortable there. The thing about this team I wonder about is the running game as we get into November and December. They don't really have a lot of big names there after some of the injuries. Cam Akers went down. I think it's mostly Sony Michel.
Yep.
I don't really know a lot of their other guys as far as their depth is concerned. That could be a bit of an issue. But really, I like what I've seen out of this team. I think Sean McVay is an offensive innovator, and he's finally got the kind of captain of that ship that he could spin that wheel whatever direction he wants, and he knows that Stafford can handle that.
Yeah, and you said that the Rams kind of handled the Giants. The score might reflect that, but if you flash back to like the first quarter of that game, the Giants were kind of going blow for blow for them with a little bit, and then obviously the injuries finally caught up with the Giants in that game, and then the Rams finally extended their lead and decided to show up. Also, it was a coast to coast game, so that's tough on them as well. So that does break us into the top 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 teams left. Which one do you want to give to us first?
Okay, we'll go number 4, the Green Bay Packers. I still own you. I've always owned you. I don't know what came over Aaron Rodgers there. We don't usually see that kind of bravado from him. Apparently, he just looked up.
I loved it.
And he saw the double kickstands or whatever from someone in the crowd. Oh, I almost did a Eli Manning. Didn't he do that on live TV? I think there might be not quite as many people watching this, but that's okay. But that was pretty funny to see. He does own Chicago. He always seems to beat them. I guess it's a good thing Combs isn't with us right now. He might not be happy with me saying that. But they just look like a healthy team right now. The defense kind of held Chicago in check. That's not saying a whole lot. That's not an offense that has a ton of explosion there. But I trust the Packers right now. They've won 13 games the last couple of seasons, and they seem kind of primed to have that kind of season again, Buck. Like, I don't know if they're going to win 13 or 14 games, but they certainly seem like they could win that division and definitely have a home playoff game or two. That's where what's been left to be desired with this team over the last couple of years. Their playoff results, they've got to the NFC Championship game, but they haven't been able to finish the job. So to me, that's the only question mark with this team is can they get to the big game?
Right. Yeah, you mean, like, honestly, if you flash back to the Packers game itself, it's their opening game, Monday night game versus the Detroit Lions. Ever since that second half of that game when they shut out the Detroit Lions and scored 21 unanswered points, they've been kind of clicking on all cylinders. So I mean, definitely the Packers are a top 5 team, hands down. You do have them coming in at number 4. At number 3, you do have Mr. MVP candidate himself. Yes, I said it. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens coming in at number 3. Do they really deserve that right now?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I had them at number 4 last week. I think I've been kind of high on this team kind of throughout, even after J.K. Dobbins and, just about every running back on the planet went down for them just over a month ago. If you think about it, they've gotten guys who a lot of people would consider to be washed up: Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell, and
Latavius Murray.
Marshawn Lattimore. No.
Latavius Murray.
Latavius Murray, thank you.
Yep.
These guys don't need to be studs, but with the amount of traffic that Lamar creates with his RPOs and with his own legs. They just need to run through the holes that are there, and they're going to be good for 150 to 200 yards rushing a game. They blew the doors off the Chargers, who I also had as a top 5 team. The defense is really starting to show some teeth. I really like this team. Um, if you're buying on Lamar Jackson as an MVP candidate, he's below a lot of guys, including Matt Stafford, which I think is crazy. So if you want to buy low on Lamar Jackson for MVP 2021, it might be a decent gamble right now.
Yeah,
If you're a betting person.
Yeah, so Project XX is getting ready to launch here, guys, with the man hour. So stay tuned to that. We'll figure out what that is coming up here, maybe January 1st. But the biggest problem that I have with the Ravens right now is they just lost their starting left tackle to a season-ending ankle surgery. So I'm kind of concerned, kind of wondering how much that will hinder their offense per se, but only time will tell. But right now, the Ravens are number 3. And who you got coming in at number 2?
So number 2, I got the defending Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Bucks. Not a great performance necessarily. 28-22 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. I really don't care. I think this team's still getting healthy. Their secondary was kind of decimated in the first few weeks of the season. I think this is a veteran team that knows what it takes to get back to the promised land where they got to last year. Led by Tom Brady, this team knows what it takes. But they've got some nice young talent spliced in throughout the roster as well. I like the addition of Giovanni Bernard. I think he's a nice third down back option for them. And I like the way they've drafted over the last couple of years. Carlton Davis has been a guy who's been able to fill in nicely for them. And even the guys who have filled in on the secondary and the back end, I'm kind of blanking on some of the names right now, but they've done a solid job. And sure, people could say, well, they only beat the Eagles by a touchdown on a short week. Sure. But like I said, this is a veteran team. They know that they probably didn't have a ton of gas left in the tank. They just needed to get the W and kind of keep it moving. And with a mini bye, like you were saying kind of earlier, talking about the Browns and the Broncos with the 10 games in between 10 days in between games, this should help them get a little bit more rested heading into the kind of middle part of the season.
Yeah, and it'll also give them time to get those veteran players like you talked about on the defensive side of the ball to get their legs under them as well. Richard Sherman, for example, they signed him, 2 weeks ago, and he didn't have any training camp. He didn't play, pretty much all of last season because he was hurt. So he definitely needs to get his legs under him, and this mini bye week is going to be huge for him. Now, coming in at number 1, you do have the Arizona Cardinals. Combs has been hard on you about the Cardinals. Finally. Drew has been hard on you about the Cardinals. Sure. You finally bit the bullet. 6-0 Arizona Cardinals at number 1. Tell me why you finally put them up there.
Oh, there's a lot to say here, Buck. Just for the record, even before the Monday night game with the Bills and the Titans, I had them locked into the number 1 spot. I was really impressed. I kind of forgot about Cliff Kingsbury with the COVID issues entering this football game. I heard about a few of the players, including Chandler Jones, but backup or assistant receivers coach Brandon Whipple is the one who is actually calling in the play calls. And I think that was really impressive how they were able to move the ball against this Cleveland defense that had shown a lot of pressure and a lot of ability to take the ball away. This wasn't really that close of a game. I know Cleveland had the Hail Mary right before the end of the first half, and they kind of made it a bit close, but Arizona ended up pulling away. They look like they have, a top 5 offense, maybe even a top 3 offense, and their defense looks really ferocious as well. Marcus Golden, a few other guys coming off the edge. It's not just J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones. They have a lot of playmakers on that defense. They're 6-0, and this is over a third of the season through undefeated. So I'm very impressed with them. They deserve the top spot. They will be disrespected no more.
You definitely need to tread lightly on the Arizona Cardinals talk just because so I was gone on Sunday show and Soup Boss and Combs, they were on. And they had a comment come across the board, and the guy's name was Alpha Rob, and he said that Arizona Cardinals wasn't a very good team. And I posted that clip, and people are eating us alive thinking that we said it, but Soup Boss, but Soup Boss comes back and says in the chat here, nice way to back into that pick. Quote, I already had them picked before the Monday night games. Combs is still going to eat you alive. Ha 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 ha. So I can't remember, was Combs a buyer in the Cardinals or a seller in the Cardinals? Do you remember?
Big time buyer. And the way he's saying it, I wasn't with you guys before the season started, but he said he was buying early on this team. He had them going 15-2 or whatever he said.
Yeah, Super
Bowl. I thought was, I thought it was crazy. I mean, I looked at the rest of this division and I thought they'd be in tough. I guess I should have realized how much better Kyler Murray would be in year 3 and how this defense would really come along as well. Hey, Cliff Kingsbury might be a better NFL coach than he was a college football coach. He was under 500 at Texas Tech. He had a lot of good ideas, though, and this might be the right spot for him. And he has a really cool house. I don't know if you saw his house.
I have not seen his house. Yeah,
but this guy is a true play up him for real.
Well, I mean, he is like 35 years old. So if you got it, flaunt it, right?
That's right.
So, but like when you look at the rest of the NFC West, I mean, you have a lot of their teams going down. One of them being the Seahawks. They are coming in at number 23 in your power rankings right now. Is that simply because of Russ being hurt, or do you just not see them as a very good team?
Well, obviously Russell Wilson has meant so much to that franchise since he was drafted about a decade ago. That's a big part of it. Geno Smith has had such a weird career. If you think about the punch in the locker room with the Jets to him breaking Eli Manning's streak to now being caught in, stuck in this weird situation with Seattle. I thought they showed some pretty good fight against Pittsburgh. But yeah, I think they're just kind of a middling team right now. And not having Wilson for the next month or so, I think it's about 4 to 6 weeks or so is what I've heard. It is obviously not good for them. The defense hasn't looked as good as it has in previous years. I think they'll still probably find a way to win 7 or 8 games and save Pete Carroll his job, but I just don't think it's their year this year.
Wait. So you're thinking Pete Carroll's on the hot seat that they don't do well?
Not necessarily, but it's been a while since they've been in the Super Bowl. He might want to hang them up. I mean, he's one of the older coaches in the NFL.
Well, he's like 72, isn't he? Something like that.
He's up there. I think he's older than Belichick. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's the oldest. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was a bit of a hot take. Maybe he doesn't need a great season, but if they win like 5 games, he could be in trouble. Don't you think?
Don't worry. I clipped it, and I'm going to put some clickbait on it, and bada bing, bada boom, you are going to be famous. But before we get into our break, there's a couple comments from Soup Boss that I want to say. Soup Boss said he did see Cliff Kingsbury house in the middle of the night. .. # stalker talk. So that is very, very weird. And then he also come out and said that Seahawks weren't as good as a team, even with Russ was healthy. Yeah.
You got to get the Soup Boss on here for a Wednesday night power rankings. We can chop it up a bit.
Well, Soup Boss is coming up here in a little bit, guys, here on the Man Hour. So Spilled Soup is coming up, guys, but we are up against a break here. So as always, Graham Wallace, thank you for joining us at Bus Wallace on the Twitter machine and Instagram. I know it's baseball offseason for you, but tell the people what you do in real life.
Yeah, you bet. You can find my articles at jaysjournal.com. As well as bellyupsports.com in the MLB tab. I'm going to be coming out with some content, some classic Blue Jays content, as well as some MLB offseason stuff. So make sure to check out that.
All right, guys, that puts us up against the break. And on the other side of the break, we got Soup Boss coming up. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. We'll be right back. All right, man, we're on break. Thank you. Speaking of Soup Boss.
Okay.
There he is. What's up, Soup?
What's up, man? How we doing, guys?
All right, Graham, you have a good night. Hey, good night, bud.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
What's going on, man? It's just you and me. Combs left me high.
No, well, I mean, he's traveling. He doesn't know what to do. His energy levels can only go so far, He carries that big frame around. He has to actually do work, God forbid.
Yeah.
Body can't take it.
Yeah, so I'm going to welcome people back to the show, introduce you onto the show, and I got a lot of jingles for you.
Oh, God.
And then do you want to tell people what Spilled Soup is all about, or just jump right in? And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckkosh tonight. If you would be most inclined, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. If you're watching us here on youtube.com/Man Hour, be sure to head over to manhourradio.com and check out the new merchandise. Beastie merch is dropped. We're also giving away a Man Hour logo tumbler this week on the giveaway. So give us a hashtag Beastie and a number of points that you would like to enter, minimum of 2 up to 10,000. So also, guys, if you miss any part of the show whatsoever, you can download us on iTunes, Spotify, and of course, iHeartRadio. And we also upload the clips every Monday, actually 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, every 3 hours at youtube.com/Man Hour. But let's welcome the peanut butter to my ladies.
Oh,
Mr. Soup Boss himself. Soup Boss. What's going on tonight, man? What's going on?
Man, you know, I was all pumped for the intro on Sunday with Combs, and he came up with something weird, and I was like, God, he just got even more weird. And now peanut butter to your ladies. I'm not sure if peanut butter and women, and it's like you're really looking to get this show just banned on YouTube, and that's where I get all my content for it, man.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
Exactly. But peanut butter to my ladies. If you don't know that movie reference, you need to step up your game. Come on, man. Talladega Nights.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
come on, baby.
Well, there's a lot of things that are in some Will Ferrell movies that would still get you banned on YouTube. If
True. But guys, it is time for some soup talk, some spilled soup with Soup Boss. So sit back and relax and listen to this jingle, and we get ready for some spilled soup.
It's a spilled soup. Let the boss take the lead. Your predictions are all wrong. It's a spilled soup. Your hot takes are bad. Let the soup boss bring it home. Spilled soup, spilled soup, spilled soup, spilled soup. Clear the way, the soup boss will lead the way. It's a spilled soup. Let's be honest, man, our needs some urgent help. Time for spilled soup.
I just want to know, do you get the 80s rock band like in your back, like in the closet, like you feed them once a day and you're like, I won't cut your mullet, but you're recording this damn song?
No, man, that is me. That's me and my pops, man. Ooh, we were on it, baby. That's just for you, Soup Boss. Soup, tell them what spilled soup is all about.
Yeah, so being on here on the Man Hour, I appreciate the ability to take a little bit of the time of the show and pretty much just tell you everything that I had an issue with. So the whole point of Spilled Soup is to take a couple things here or there throughout the week or last couple days, whatever the case may be. It's kind of voice my frustration. And if you're a fan of the show and you're on YouTube especially and you're commenting, you tend to get a lot of my comments in there, which I encourage you, get on, be a part of it when it's live, hit the like button, share it to your friends, but get into the comments. It's a lot of fun. But sometimes, man, when I drive to and from work, I get those nice Man Hour shorts when I can't watch the whole thing. And I just get so frustrated. I shouldn't have road rage in the car when it has nothing to do with the cars in the street. Okay, Buck? Sometimes the things that are said give me enough road rage. So that's the whole point of Spilled Soup, just to give you a little tidbit of my frustration as I spill it out there for you. So I've got a couple this week. That's for sure.
Just a couple. So we're doing something right. We were starting to get on your good side. I mean, it's not like a laundry list of things. It's just a couple. So what's the first thing that you want to spill about?
Well, so I'm going to go to actually one of the shorts that you put out there. And I actually didn't have this coming into today. So I thought the list was going to be kind of short with some stuff. And then, well, Buck, seeing you're running solo tonight, I guess you have to be the target. It just happened to be that way. But I heard this amazing clip about the Steelers, and you got into the Pittsburgh Steelers, which we all know, throw a freaking dart at the board at what type of team you're going to get, right? We don't really know what's going on. It's obvious Big Ben is at the end of his career, and you started breaking down the Big Ben analysis and what the Steelers need to do. And I was with you. I actually agreed with you. Hey, you drafted Najee Harris in the first round for a reason. Get him in there. Get that run game going. Make that your identity. Stop putting it on the back of the old man. Throwing the ball. Let him be more strategic when you use him. Crowd the box. You were saying everything great. And then you brought up the focus of Big Ben being, I believe it was 19 for 19 in all short passes. Anything under 10 yards.
Yeah.
And I thought, great. Okay, he's Bucks getting this. Jam it down their throats with Najee. Let Ben go out there, swing out some passes, make some big plays. And then you started to criticize it. And I was trying to figure out what the criticism was going to be. And you stated, do it differently. Let Big Ben throw the ball further down the field, 20 to 30 yards. And the statement that came out of your mouth, Buck, was, we all know he's probably the best quarterback in the AFC North that can throw the ball 20 to 30 yards down the field.
Yep.
And I waited and I said, okay, breathe, Soup Boss. Take a breath. Why do you think this, Buck? And Buck, I've already come on the show and just one spilled soup thing and talked about the aspect of looking up analytics and data and everything like that. So I said, I'm going to give him his chance here to kind of do something. Well, I think your camera went out there, buddy. So I guess you might be afraid of me.
No.
So your statements were, he's the best because Joe Burrow, I mean, he's doing a lot better, but
Right.
I mean, come on. That was your
it's
Lamar Jackson. We all know he's just, it's just not that good. And then Baker Mayfield, we really don't know what you're going to get from him. So obviously, Ben Roethlisberger is the best at throwing it 20 to 30 yards. You can't give 3 statements about the 3 other quarterbacks that are going to be ranking against Ben Roethlisberger in this situation and just go, well, I mean, come on, like we all know, like Lamar Jackson isn't that good. Could you imagine being defended by a lawyer in the court of law, Buck, and you are sitting there and your lawyer looks at the judge and goes, well, let me tell you something. My defendant here, Mr. Buck, is a outstanding member of society because, as we know, the Combs, who's standing out there in the street, I mean, come on. We all know. I mean, he's not as good as he is. I mean, come on. Like, case closed, perfect condition. What type of analysis was that, Buck?
So really? in my defense, my notepad crashed right before that segment, and I was trying to repopulate it, but I do have the statistics now because once I restarted my computer, it was there. So passes down the field, that is 15 yards plus, under 30 yards in the air, over 15 yards in the air. Big Ben has a 68% completion percentage when passing the ball over 15 yards in the air. Everybody else in the NFC North, that's Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Baker, they are all under 63%. So which Baker Mayfield is the best at 63, Lamar Jackson is 47.5, and Joe Burrow.
We all know he's good.
Well, and then Joe Burrow is actually the lowest at 45%. So those were the stats that I wanted to put in there, but in my defense, my notepad broke and I probably should have, saved it and not just relied on, autosave, right? So the stats are there that Big Ben historically can throw the ball further down the field more accurately at a more consistent pace.
So are those numbers historical numbers, or are those numbers this year or last year, like recent data?
That is career.
That is career. Okay.
Career.
So here's where I'm going to pick. First off,
I agree with you on that. Yep.
Bring some soup in. Kudos to you for actually backing up with some data, because I sat there and watched that short and I was like, what the hell, Buck? This is the most. Well, my feelings say this about this player, and it didn't work. But here's my problem with looking at career. You're looking at a dude way late in his career who is a Hall of Fame long-time quarterback who's got a lot more to go by, who has a lot more success than guys like Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield and Lamar
16
Jackson.
years versus 2 years,
16,
right? Yeah,
right, exactly. Right. So that's like, for instance, in Sports Soup, someone was posting about Kirk Cousins and how since last year, how he ranks in the top 10 of all of these stats, and it was like 4th, 5th, 6th. And I said, that shows to me why Kirk Cousins right now is a top 10 quarterback. He's not your MVP. He's a top 10 quarterback. People were losing their mind. They're like, he's better than Ben Roethlisberger? Yeah, right now, he's better than Ben Roethlisberger, because we're not talking about Ben Roethlisberger 15 years ago. That's a different story. And your aspect of how you're rating the Steelers right now is saying right now, throw Najee in there and let Big Ben throw it down the field. I'm sorry, man. This is where I'm going to actually have to pull your card and say the eye test should tell you everything. And we have to look up the data, I think, for the past year and a half, because Ben Roethlisberger is falling over his own feet. He's trying to throw it 10 yards, and he's literally like, I swear he had a heart attack in one of the games and fell on his face. Didn't even put his hands out to stop himself. Like, I thought he broke his neck
I thought he was
trying
dead.
to throw the ball.
Yeah.
I thought he was dead. I thought he died. It is so different. When you sit there and watch it, Joe Burrow, okay, he's still coming into himself. And I'm still not like this hardcore like Cincinnati's in. I think their record does not show exactly what type of team they are, kind of like the Broncos with their 3-0 start. But still, Burrow throws a beautiful ball down the field. He's got his buddy Chase down there. He's already hit him on multiple deep throws that are so accurate into the tee. That's why they went and drafted him. Should have drafted him some O-line help, but still, that makes a lot of great completions down the field. The peanut butter to his jelly or the peanut butter to his ladies right there, and that completion. The only one I will give you credit for, because even Baker, to me, throws better downfield when he's not feeling stressed that he has to throw it to Odell Beckham Jr. I think we can table that to the side. Take out the OBJ stuff. He's way better. With Landry and some of his tight ends, way better down the field than, except for when he forces it. The one I will agree with you on, just to piss off a lot of people, is even right now, I would trust Ben Roethlisberger throwing it deeper down the field than I would Lamar Jackson. I am just not sold on Lamar Jackson being a top quarterback in this league. He is a great running back who happens to play quarterback and has had some great flashes of success. I know he won an MVP, but I think he won an MVP because he caught people by surprise. He blew people away. But once people started studying him, it's been shown that every time he's had to play with a deficit, minus that Colts game, he just doesn't know what to do. His accuracy is terrible. It wobbles. It's no good. But right now, you cannot say today the Pittsburgh Steelers game plan is to let Ben Roethlisberger throw it to 20, 30 yards on the field. You're way off with that and saying that there's no better quarterback in the AFC North to do that. I would give it to almost all of them to do it over Ben Roethlisberger today.
Yeah, well, so thinking about it, hindsight now, I mean, I would definitely take Joe Burrow over Big Ben pushing the ball down the field. But the reason why I want Big Ben to push the ball down the field is to keep those safeties honest back there. So they're not putting 8 or 9 guys in the box to stop Najee Harris. Just because once you feel those 8 or 9 guys in the box, we've seen it. Mike Tomlin's is not afraid to throw the ball 60 times in a game. And that's that's what we're going to see. So Najee Harris needs a steady 20 to 25 touches a game, and then push the ball down the field to Chase Claypool every now and then, because I believe Juju's out, if I'm not mistaken. So
Juju's out. He's done for the season. So with that said, Juju being out, you have less options. So wouldn't you actually think that if Najee can go out and pound the rock 20, 25 times a game, and Ben is throwing 10-yard, under 10-yard completions 15 to 18 times, that's going to bring that defense up more, so that then he only has to throw it downfield about 30 yards 1 to 2 times a game, and those 1 to 2 times are actually going to be accurate. I don't trust Ben Roethlisberger's health to throw it 10 times down the field, 20 to 30 yards. The dude is just going to literally, like, his arm is going to fall off, and we're going to see, like, SpaghettiOs pouring out of his armpit or something like that. Like, the guy is at the end of his rope. I have a soft spot for Big Ben. I think he's a fantastic guy. I think he goes into the Hall of Fame. I think he was a unique player in the time where we had Brady, where we had Manning, these pocket passers and everything. He was this dude that was just a brick that could run, that could roll, that could lower his shoulder and boom over you. I met him in person. The guy is huge. But he's at the end of his career. I wonder if he goes to bed every Sunday night going, what the hell am I doing this year? But
so he probably doesn't think that because he's probably so high on pain pills and alcohol that like he's not thinking about that. He just hoping to able to tie his shoes on Tuesday. Let's just be honest about that.
So Sunday nights he's laying in bed going, who the hell am I? Where am I right now? What's going on?
Where's those 18-year-old girls at a bar again that I can molest?
Oh, I knew it. I knew someone was going to bring that up. You should have just went with that. You should have just went with, I wouldn't trust him throwing it down there because he could, barely get his mark in the bat. No, we won't go there. Never mind. All right. So that was my first one.
First one.
That was the first one, okay? We got to get a couple, okay? The second and third ones are going to kind of be tied together. And Buck, I'm assuming that you do most of the editing, so you did that awesome intro and everything like that. And you already brought it up with our guy right before with the clickbait and everything. Buck, for the love of God, it's the internet. What the hell are you doing putting videos like the Cardinals are no good with me and Combs, who are repping the Cardinals, and just asking for people to light us up online? Did you see the like to dislike ratio? It's great we got the views. Fantastic we got the views. But the only worst ratio of like to dislike I've ever seen was the YouTube recap a couple years ago, where YouTube themselves got demolished in the dislike, like 5 million. Like, I was sitting there going, what the hell are you doing, Buck? You can't do that to us. So, point 1A, stop it with the clickbait, Buck. You're killing me, buddy. You're making me feel like I got to defend my honor out here. And you're probably going to put something out there like, there's no such thing as clickbait, and put me into this next short. It's probably what you're going to do. Right. Cut it out. You're killing me. But point two, even more than you, is to our fans here at the Man Hour, to the fans who see us on YouTube, to the people who maybe just the algorithm gets them to see it and they decide to find out who the greatest show on, sports talk show on the internet is. For the love of God, if you're going to do anything, stop reading the headline and never reading the story. It's the same thing. Don't read the headline and not watch the video. They're shorts. They're 2 minutes long. I know in TikTok world that we're used to everything is 60 seconds. You didn't even have to watch the full 3 minutes of that Cardinals video to see that me and Combs were completely giving all the credit to the Cardinals, and you guys are ripping through the comments about how we're a bunch of idiots. Thank you, Buck, for setting us up to look like idiots. But even more, thank you, America, or fellow sports fans, because I know we got jolly old Costa Pond bottled water fans over in England listening to us. Watch the video. You get what? That's like saying like you watched the football game when you really didn't, and then you just kind of look at the final score and go, well, this team lit up this team, and it was complete, utter disaster, when really it had nothing to do with any bit of the score, and you have no idea what you're talking about or anything like that. You watch the videos. Watch the videos. Bring more insight into it. And then go ahead, and I challenge you all, when you realize that it's clickbait, and you listen to the video and you go, wait a minute, they're not saying that the Cardinals are terrible. I challenge you to go ahead and let Mr. Buck know in the comments about how bad you think the title of his videos are. Let him know. Let us know that you watched the whole video and say who actually you agreed with, and then go ahead and let Buck know how terrible of a clickbait title that was. Hit a like button for us that actually you agreed with. Stop being headline readers. No. I don't like it. It's not good. Be better fans than that. Come on now.
Every time I just like you say no, like I feel like stop it, right? Stop it.
Stop. But you're starting to type the comment. Stop
it. So funny thing is, so the last time I checked that video, it's about 2,000 views. Like on that thing, had like 7 likes, like 34 thumbs down, and like everybody in the comments were saying, oh, the Cardinals are the best team, like literally in the first 30 seconds. Like, I believe it is you, well, Alpha Rob, you say, or no, I believe you refer to him as
Beta
Rob. You are absolutely, like, you basically say you are absolutely wrong, and you say the Arizona Cardinals are better. It just, like, within the 30 seconds, which is funny because I was looking at the analytics right before we jumped on the show. 90% of the people people are watching 90% of the video. So they're listening and hearing what we're saying. It's just I don't think they're comprehending it. I mean, but like it is what it is.
Listen, I know I got an annoying whiny little voice and everything like that, and it's sometimes hard when I talk like I got bottled water in my mouth, everything like that. But listen, it's not that hard, folks. Take the time. Listen. Like I said, hey, Alpha Rob, if you're listening right now, you beta Rob until you admit that the Arizona Cardinals have the better defense than the Bills. The Bills had a good defense, but like we said, they hadn't been tested. They got tested. They failed. They did a terrible job. So that goes to our fans. And for the very last spilled soup issue that I have, we're going to actually talk about the Bills a little bit. And I don't know who it was. I don't know actually, Buck, if it was you or if it was Combs. I don't know who it was. I think it was you, man, Buck. I think you and I just have a little rivalry thing here going that we don't understand.
I think it's the ginger thing.
Yeah, I think it is. It's the ginger thing. Because we all know that at one point a soulless ginger will, completely rule the earth. So we're going to have to battle it out at some point. That's just the way it is. But the whole aspect, and I get in battles on Sports Soup with this all the time. Take the points. Take the points. In the situation, take the points. I get that the scenario says if we score a touchdown from the 2.5-yard line, when you only need a half yard for a first down, but when you have 15 seconds left on the clock, it's 4th and half an inch. It's a 19-yard field goal. Your percentages of kicking that field goal is through the roof. You have a 50-50 chance of getting the ball first. You just drove down the field. So if you get the coin flip, you know that you can do it and go out there and win that game. For the love of God, take the points. I drive that point all the time. And when coaches get like dribbled on because in the beginning of a fourth or end of third quarter, when fans are like losing their minds because they're behind, they take the points. Do you know what happens almost all the time in those games? That team comes back and wins. And they end up usually winning by 1 or 2 points because they took the field goal, played the percentages, let their defense do some work. Okay. It was a terrible call by the Bills to have Allen run the ball. It just was. You just do something different. But with that said, in the talk of what they should have done, I'm pretty sure it was you, Buck, that said when you're on the road, kick the field goal, and when you're at home, you run the ball. Why does the field make any difference in terms of where you're playing when it comes to those analytics? It makes no sense to me. Your percentage of kicking a 19-yard field goal, whether you're at home or away, is still going to be the same. We're not talking like a 50-yard field goal with a ton of noise. It's a 19-yard field goal. Your coin flip, the crowd doesn't blow like so much energy while the coin is flipping in the air to make it go the way of the other team. You're home, you're away, kick the 19-yard field goal with 15 seconds to go. Take your 50-50 chance on the coin flip. Get the ball, score the ball. I don't care if you're home or away. I don't understand your thought process of you were criticizing fans who thought you do one thing one way at home and one way away, and you said everyone had it different and it should be the way. I think you're all wrong. Just do what the statistics say will give you the best chance. Kick it, go to overtime, win the ball game.
So I did say kick the field goal for the Buffalo Bills, but I also said if the Tennessee Titans were in that position, I would have went for it because you are the home team. The reason why you would have, I would have went for it if I was the home team losing at that opportunity was because I do have the home fan support. I can actually run a play. I can maybe try a hard, like a hard count or something to that effect. Because I believe they had 12 seconds left with one timeout, if I'm not mistaken. So if you are
15, 18 seconds,
if you are the home team and it's a half a yard, try to draw them off sides. Like if you don't call the timeout, like at the point, think of some type of strategy. Do you really want to go into overtime just because Mr. Wallace himself was just on earlier, and he says the Buffalo Bills, his team could not stop King Henry all night long. So, I see why they wanted to go for it because they wanted to win the game, but it was raining. Your left guard got destroyed on that play. Josh Allen just is not a very good straight ahead guy. Like he's more of a shitty guy himself. It was just a bad play call all the way around, but I do agree. Take the points on like on that. Go into overtime, especially since you say you had the best defense in the NFL, right? Prove it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. If you think you got the best defense in the NFL and Alpha Rob's out there letting the world know just how good you are, prove it in that aspect. And that's the other thing. I know Derrick Henry is a beast. And I love the fact that people are still like for 2 years in a row saying that the guy is going to like is just done. And he's just, did you know, like right now, the leading rusher in the NFL is him. And then the second leading rusher in the NFL is him after contact. And then third is Nick Chubb. Like he's ridiculous. So I get that aspect. But at some point, you don't play afraid. This is the NFL. You play and you put your defense out there to stop them. But again, your chances of kicking a 19-yard field goal. I know we've had issues with field goal kickers and everything like that, but those are a lot further away, a lot bigger issues in terms of distance and everything like that the week before. But kick the field goal at a short distance, and it's still they'll someday do something different. I don't know if they will. There's overtime continues to get talked about what you're going to do, but right now, 50-50 chance that Henry doesn't see the ball. You get the ball. Take that chance. You just drove it down the field. Do it again and win the game. And instead, they're sitting there with a big L, and everyone now putting them down in their power rankings, as we just talked about, because the Titans were able to stop them. So
yeah,
I don't get the whole. I get what you're saying. If you were the Titans on the home field, you do the hard count. But even then, you go up there to try to get them to go off sides to get a first down, to go for one quick play or shot into the end zone. But if they don't jump, you call a timeout, and guess what they do when they call the timeout?
Kick a field goal.
You kick the field goal. So the only way I agree with you in that situation is if you get them to jump off sides, get the first down. You don't, kick the field goal. Yeah, go for a shot.
So speaking of King Henry, I had a debate with Drew last night here in the chat. He says that King Henry is not a MVP of the NFL. He said he is an MVP for his team, but not for the NFL. And then I come out and said, if you put King Henry on any other team in the NFL, he instantly makes that team better. How is he not a MVP?
Instantly. Tell me a team that King Henry doesn't instantly make better. Like, seriously, I want someone to go ahead and tell me a team, and maybe you get something as close as like Green Bay with Aaron Jones, but even still, there's no better running back. Again, the leading rusher in the NFL is King Henry. The second leading rusher in the NFL is King Henry after contact. No running back in the NFL has even more yards than him after contact as a whole. Nick Chubb is number 3 behind him, and I think it's something like 120 yards less than his yards after contact. It's insane. The only reason why that's probably the thought process that Henry is not the MVP is because, unfortunately, we as a fan base have now been ingrained over the last 10 to 15 years that the MVP is a quarterback only award system. That's it. It is a quarterback league. It's quarterback driven. I'm literally wearing a shirt that encourages what's considered one of the greatest players of all time, or greatest of all time. You look at the years where even guys like Steve McNair and Peyton Manning, they split one. And yet you had years where guys like Chris Johnson went over 2,000 yards rushing, didn't even sniff the MVP, maybe got some votes here or there. You've gotten guys like there's been people that have argued for like Aaron Donald, who has been on a 5-year tear of statistically, rating-wise and statistics, one of the greatest 5-year stretches in the NFL's history from the defensive side of the ball. This is while he's getting double and triple and sometimes quadruple teamed by the offensive line / tight end / running back combos. And yet there's not a thought process of it. I don't agree that he shouldn't be in the MVP conversation. I think that him and Kyler Murray are your top 2 MVP candidates, but I understand why a lot of fans are saying it because they've been groomed. We all have been groomed as NFL fans. Quarterback is the most important thing. Think about it. What quarterbacks are getting taken in the first round, everything like that. Right. No one ever talks about no one even talks about which running backs get taken in the first round anymore. No one cares.
Exactly.
It's not as much of a thing for us to think about.
So before I let you go, quick question here. Is Derrick Henry a Hall of Famer right now if he were to never play another snap?
And not another snap. Is he a Hall of Famer? Yes. Because of the state of the way that the running back is, you got to remember, when we look back at when Derrick Henry was playing, as we just talked about, in a quarterback-driven league, which also was driven in a quarterback-driven league where running backs are expected to be the Alvin Kamara. You're going to have some 100-yard rushing games, but you're really a wide receiver. You're a wide receiver that comes off on the back end of the slot when all the other defense goes away. And we saw things like that start with Bill Belichick, James White, guys like that. That's the way the league is. He is killing people. He is running them over. He's making them consider retirement. He's making them wonder if they made the wrong choice, even when they cash their paycheck every week. Like, do I deserve this because I got annihilated on the field by King Henry? And everyone, and at some point it will. We've seen it with all our running backs, right? We've seen them with them all. The Chris Johnsons, the Sean Alexanders, the big guys. They break down and it goes like this.
Right.
It will happen. But everyone has been expecting it for almost 2.5 seasons now, and he's not slowing down in a league that's driven by quarterbacks. Yes, he is by and far a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Fame running back right now, in my opinion, today, if he never plays another snap. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree as well. And I was actually kind of taken back by it because there's 8 2,000-yard there are 8 people that have broke the 2,000-yard mark in NFL history, but only 4 of them are in the Hall of Fame. So,
yeah, the 2,000-yard rushing thing, a lot of people, when you do that, you end up breaking down so much faster. But with Derrick Henry, it goes beyond that element. It's just his overall total package on the field. I know he's not as much of a receiving running back, but he still can do that as well.
Yeah.
And he just demoralizes players on the defensive side. It's not just his stats. It's what he physically does on the field, which is what the NFL was built to be. It's those things that give him the solid nod that today, if he retired, he'd go in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
All right, guys, that is Soup Boss with the spilled soup. Soup, thank you for joining us. As always, we'll see you next Wednesday, man.
Sure thing, Buck. Take care, guys.
All right, guys, we're up against a break, and we'll be right back. Let me play that real quick.
Spill soup. Let the boss take the lead. Your predictions are all wrong. It's a spill soup. Your hot takes are bad. Let the soup boss bring it home. Spill soup, spill soup, spill soup, spill soup. Clear the way. The soup boss will lead the way. It's a spill soup.
Brought to you by Brooks Roofing and Siding. Contact them at 812-868-7663 or online at brooksroofingin.com. BrooksRoofingandSiding.com. Brooks Roofing and Siding, protection you need when nature strikes.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckasha here, wrapping up the last 10 minutes of the Man Hour tonight. So, guys, I am sure very, very happy that everybody was able to join us. We had Power Rankings with Graham Wallace himself, and also had Soup Boss with some spilled soup. So he did spill some soup with us as my camera's all glitchy. Yeah, guys, I don't know what's going on with my camera, but I'll change it for tomorrow, so we won't have to worry about that whatsoever. So, guys, it is that special time of night where we open up the chat line for some shop talk. So if you guys would be interested in any questions or any comments that you want to bring up here, head over to youtube.com/manhour and let me know. So Javier comes out and says that Watson to Miami is almost a done deal. So Javier, Graham Wallace himself, when we were doing the power rankings, he said the same thing. He heard that it was a very, very close, almost a quote, a done deal. So, of course, we've been hearing that for the last month as well, Javier. So I'm not for sure how much I really believe that, just because, let's be honest, because we've been hearing it forever, and Watson here, it doesn't matter. Tua's not going to Washington football team if... guys, if Watson goes to Miami, just like we were talking about it with like Graham earlier, first of all, he has to learn a brand new playbook. Are they going to dumb it down for him like completely? That won't help him very, very much, to be honest, because right now the Miami Dolphins are a sinking ship, and they're just bad, right? Watson to Miami obviously helps them later down the road, next year, 2 years down the road, but right now it is not a fix-all. So Javier, your team is still going to be trash, still a bottom tier team in the NFL power rankings. So Graham had them right now like at 29, I think it was, or 28. Get used to it, because Patriots are coming back up. So Soup Box's Patriots are coming back up. Bills are there. Hell, I even take the Jets over Miami right now. Let's just be totally honest. So Soup Boss says I pushed the wrong button. Oh no. So Soup Boss says he is calling it right now. Tua to Washington football team. Tua to Washington football team. That seems kind of intriguing, simply because that they did sign Taylor Heineke to a three-year deal. Ryan Fitzpatrick is still there. I mean, he's 37, 38, so he probably won't be back. But so, Soup Boss, are you saying there is going to be like a 3-team trade? So Tua to Miami, or sorry, a Watson to Miami, Tua to Washington, and then like Taylor Heineke down to Houston. Is that what we're looking like? Just because people did say that, Houston's wanting three first round picks and 2 second round picks, along with other active players, to make the team better right now. So a three-team trade in the NFL is very, very rare. But Soup Boss says, yep, a three-way trade based on my sources. So if your sources are telling you a three-team trade, you got to kind of believe it a little bit here. But so he does says Houston gets assets and Heineke, Washington football team gets Tua, and Miami gets Watson. So, wow. So on that 3-team trade, is Miami giving both Washington and Houston some first-round picks as well? Is that how that's going to work? Just because why would Washington want a player like Tua when he's looking like he is going to be a bust like Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson? Why would you want a quarterback like Tua that is going to go into a dysfunctional organization like Washington, where that is tough for me to think that Washington football team wants Tua. I think Jacoby Brissett would be a better asset than Tua right now in Washington, just because, he's kind of been there, done that, maybe fits Ron Rivera's system a little bit better. I don't know. But it is what it is. Chad, Suit Boss says, because it's Washington football team, it's a dumb crap that they do. Very, very, very true. Washington football team is the most dysfunctional organization in the NFL, even more dysfunctional than Houston Texans, and that's saying a lot. So let me go ahead and scroll back up here through the comments here. I did see something earlier that I wanted to pin mark here, but I forgot. Oh, here it is. Drew says, I agree with Aaron Donald is the MVP. So there's been one defensive player. No, has there ever been a defensive player to win the not the Heisman, the MVP? Not that I mean, obviously Charles Woodson won the Heisman when he was Michigan, but that was more of a punt returner, kick returner type thing, not a defensive threat. But when you think about it in hindsight here, as my camera stops, see, my camera's so dumb. So we'll just go ahead and stop that, get that out of there. We don't want that no more. So I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Anyways, sorry guys. Now I lost my chat as well. This is so dumb. I am a freaking IT guy. I can't figure out what the hell I did. So Aaron Donald, MVP. I agree with what Soup Boss said earlier. He is on a 5-year tearing it up in the NFL. But like what Soup Boss also said, the MVP is a quarterback award on the best team. So the best quarterback or actually just a quarterback on the best team. So it is what it is. And then he says Alan Page and Lawrence Taylor both won the MVP, only twice in league history. So yeah, I don't even know who Alan Page is. So that shows you how long ago that was. Javier says, wow, 3 home runs from the Braves. Wow. Yeah. I mean, what the Red Sox, what they have 3 grand slams in this series. The Braves are hitting the piss out of out of the ball too. I mean, the ball right now is flying off the bats in October in those cities. And it's actually really fun to watch. Chicks dig the long ball. Drew says home fan support. I saw one more comment from Trace, but my chat's not going up that far. Oh, well, guys, that is going to be it for tonight, guys. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Tomorrow, we do have Luke G planning on joining us here. So Luke G's weekly segment will be with us, as well as Wayne G's with That's Debatable. So tune in tomorrow, guys. We are giving away that tumbler tomorrow, so be sure to get hashtag Beastie Space and the number of points that you'd like to give to the raffle, minimum of 2, maximum of 10,000 points. You get loyalty points for being active in the chat, liking or disliking, just in some type of interaction, sharing it, etc., and gambling the points, etc. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. No more solo shows for me. I'm not very good at it. Let's just be honest. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place. YouTube.com/manhour, 8 p.m. East Coast time. Thank you for Graham Wallace for the NFL Power Rankings. And, of course, thank you for Soup Boss as well for Spilled Soup. So, guys, be sure to check out the Man Hour clips at youtube.com/Man Hour. We do upload those every 3 hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Have a great night, guys. Man Hour Nation, rise up.